Hello and welcome to another episode of the Instant Impact Event Show. I am Cheryl Williams.
I'm CJ Williams. Thank you for being here.
Hello and welcome, guys. We're so excited that you're here for another awesome topic today.
Yes, and that is set big targets. Goals versus plans.
Yep.
Goals versus plans. Big difference.
Speaking of targets, so our son, Jaden, he is on an archery team, and so he had his first tournament last weekend. And
very well.
He did really well, and he said, I always have room for improvement, but he has a good basis to start on. But he, what he's been practicing is, it's not just enough to, shoot the arrow at the target. You've got to really aim, and you've got to zero in, and you've got to focus in on where, and you take that deep breath, and then you let it go, and you watch it all the way in to the target when it hits.
And don't move.
And don't move until it's actually hit the target. Then you can move. Because apparently what he was saying, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know enough that he's kind of told me that if you let go before, it could make the arrow go down. And I was like, that's a good metaphor for life.
Right. Yes, it is.
Right? I mean, same thing as like, you have got to set your targets. And if you don't know what your target is, how are you going to hit it? Doesn't matter how big the target is. If it's over here, but you don't know which one you're aiming for.
Yeah, where you're going.
And that's the other thing at this tournament. There were, was it 17 different targets lined up?
17.
Right.
You don't want to hit somebody else's target.
And they were bunched in there.
For your only one.
Like sardines.
This close.
Oh, yeah, maybe even closer.
Yes.
And they each all had their bows, and they all had their, quiver with their arrows. And they were just, rapidly one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And all you heard, boom, 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 boom. Everyone was hitting their targets, right? The reason they were hitting their target, though, is because they knew which target was theirs, right?
Yes.
If you were supposed to be hitting target 11, but you were aiming at target 17, there's going to be, there could be.
I was going to say 17.
Really? Well, there you go. See?
Wow.
Maybe we should put some lotto numbers. Like we're
Let's
on
go.
We're on it, right? So you've got to know everyone's target is going to be different. And so you've got to be clear on what is your target, where are you aiming? Don't worry about what someone else's target is because their target is going to be different than yours.
He also told me that it makes a lot of sense. I always tell him before in the morning, always aim for the center. I tell him to take his breath, aim for the center. And he tells me that you don't aim for the center. You aim the best you can of where you want to go. And then the next bow, you're going to arrow, you're going to change it just a little bit to get closer to the bullseye. And that's just like when you make your plans. You're going to set it for each month, week by week, so you know where you're going.
Because, and that's a great way to put that into life, is that it is true, right? You could have this target, you could think that you're aiming for the center of it, and then you release that arrow, right? And it doesn't hit anywhere near the bullseye.
No.
So what do? Do you just keep doing the exact same thing? Or do you say,
make small increment, small changes.
It's like, well, that was a little lower than I thought it was going to be.
Just a little
so
higher.
I need to come up just a little bit more. Or, that was a little more to the left than I want it to be.
Yes.
We need to move this way. So that's the same thing in life, in business, anything else. You could have your target, but if you keep shooting at what you think is the center bullseye of the target and you keep missing, and you keep doing that over and over and over and over again.
Yes. You're going to be way off
What's
target.
the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Correct.
So you have to look at where are you coming in at your targets and how do we need to tweak this? How do we need to fine tune this? What do I need to change today to get a different result tomorrow? If you're coming up short in your target, that doesn't mean you lower your target.
Yes.
That means you need to change something, tweak something, move something, rearrange something so that you are coming closer to your target.
And there's a big difference between goals versus plans also.
Because goals are something that you aim for, but plans are something that you do.
Right.
And the reason that you've got to have those big goals, you've got to have, because if not,
Yes,
what are you
gotta
pushing for? Right? You got to
strive
have
for
the
more.
big goals and dreams, and
Not
yet,
just the picket fence that everyone dreams of for some reason.
right? You've got to have your. What are you going after? What are you looking
Right.
to achieve, and make it bigger than what you can imagine
Yes.
yourself achieving right now. Because
Yes,
then,
there's always more for you.
even if you come in under that, you're still ahead than, being what's realistic. What you think
Yeah.
is something that you can actually hit. Make it bigger, make it bolder.
That's right.
Step into that more, and then you're able to say, okay, well, I got to here, and we want to get over to here. So
Right,
what
so
do I
it's-
need to do differently
Right.
next time? And then you put together that plan. That's why I said plans are something you do. You put together that quarterly
roadmap.
plan.
Yep.
You put together, then take that quarterly and break it down into monthly, and take your monthly and break it down into weekly. And then once you have your weekly, it's okay. Well,
Yes, and
each
then-
day
Yep.
you need to be doing this.
Right. And then Sunday you'll plan out your week.
And the challenge a lot of people have is they get real excited in the beginning, right? It's like, ooh, we got that motivation, right?
Yeah, right.
Motivation wanes after a period of time, and it's no longer motivation that's going to carry you across the finish line. It's discipline.
And the reason they fall like that is because, number one, they didn't write out anything. They don't know where they're going or how they're going to get there.
Yep.
So they're off track the minute they came up with that idea.
Yep.
Because they didn't actually write anything down or plan no action steps to get you there.
And when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. If you don't have something written out, your roadmap, your list, your power list, your items that you're going to accomplish every day. And again, we all have a large list of things that, need to get done. Does that mean, though, those items are moving the needle? Are they getting you ahead? Are they getting you closer to your target? Are they getting you closer to where you want to be?
Right.
If they're not, then they need to be put over here. You focus on the
Yes.
ones that are, and then you can work
Then
at
go back
those
to it.
at a later date. But it's
Yes.
like you have to, what you were talking about a minute ago is like, the wind blows and you're like, oh, well, I didn't really know. Okay, I'll go over
Yes.
here. Or the next bright, shiny object comes up and it's like, oh,
Yeah, you forget that plan.
I thought about doing events, but, I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll come over here and do this. It's like,
Yeah.
you need to create
Yes.
something for
We had
yourself.
that challenge.
We've had that, it's like, okay,
we
let's go.
wanted to travel and do events.
Right. And that was
could
our
do
target.
both.
But
Right.
we're like, it's not either or, it's an and. We can
Right.
do both, right?
So we traveled and still did events.
Correct.
Yes.
Because our target at that time was we want to be able to travel, we want to explore the country, we want to
Yep.
be able to show the kids
There's more out there.
the world that we live in. We wanted to be in different places. We wanted to experience that
explore.
and still have events that we were doing.
Yes.
So how do we do that? Well, we decided the best way for us at that time to do that was to get an RV and
Right.
to travel around and then
Right.
have our calendar laid
Yep.
out of these are the events
Where
that
we
we
gonna go.
have. So that was the path that we took. We would take
Yep.
the long and winding road
Yes,
to
and
get,
we're going to go here first, here first, here first, and we're going to wind up here.
and that's how it's like we know we have an event over here on this date. So between this here where we are now and here where we want to go, we're
Yes.
gonna go
Map
to these
it
different
out.
places, go to explore different places, spend time together as a family,
Yes.
still get the business stuff in at the same time.
Kids still talk
and
about it.
that was our target at that time, right? It was like, were there multiple ways of being able to make that happen? Yes, of
Yes.
course there are. There's always multiple ways of being able to get things done. You have to figure out what is the best way for you to accomplish what your targets are. And everyone's targets are going to be different. So comparing you to someone else or someone else to you, or well, so-and-so did it this way. No, what do you want? What do
Correct.
you want your life to look like? Where are you wanting to go? That is a
Yes.
personal choice, a business. Everyone is different and unique. Then you've got to figure out where it is that you're going, what it is that you're wanting, and then put together your targets and then
Yes.
work backwards to get there.
And they're going to tweak also because you're going to look at those targets often and you're going to say, oh, I really don't want it like that. So let's work backwards and make some tweaks so we can be more focused.
And if you're looking at something, you say, well, I've got my 5-year plan, right? Or my 10-year plan. Well, Something that's
a long
5 or
time.
10 years from now, you don't need to be as specific or detailed in how you're getting that. But the closer you get to that, when you're saying, okay, well, this is my, 1 year, my 6 month, my quarterly, like these are the targets or these are the plans,
Right.
you have to be more specific and more detailed the closer something gets. You can be more
You're setting that
ambiguous.
foundation.
You can be more ambiguous when things are further out, but when they start coming into focus more because they're getting closer to where you are currently, that's when you have to work out each and every specific detail and each and every step
Yes.
along the way. Because if
Correct.
not, you're at the 35,000 foot overview, and that's perfectly fine. But as you start getting closer to the landing, you
Yes.
need to size it in. You need to,
Nice.
you
Grab
need
on. Get ready to pull.
right?
Yes.
Because it's time, but you don't
Yes.
want to. So it's all about the perspective of where you're at each time, and everyone's coming at this from a different perspective.
Yes.
And there is no right or wrong, right? There's just what you want. And we would implore you to set bigger targets than what you think you can do. Don't worry about someone else saying, "Oh, that's not something that's achievable." That doesn't matter, right?
No,
That's
don't
where I
listen
want
to
to
the
go.
outside community.
That's where
Don't.
you want to be. So
Don't.
that's what you say you're going after. And
Yep.
then you're going to put together your plan of how you're going to get there. Always knowing you can course correct, you can change, you can detour, you can move. The only
People
thing,
are going to start pulling you
Yep.
down and saying you can't.
and the
So
only
just
thing you
keep
cannot do
going.
is stop.
No, don't.
You cannot stop. Because if you stop, you're falling backwards,
Yes.
right?
And
Because
then you're gonna
time
have
is
major
continuing to
regrets.
move, and you're still here, and time keeps moving here, so you're getting further and further away from where you want to
Yes.
be.
Life
so
is short.
course correcting, fine. Deciding, you know what, I don't want that anymore. I actually want this over here because you
Yes.
experienced a little bit of this. You're like, tweaking,
We've done
changing.
that 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7,
Or
8, 9,
100 times.
10 times, 100, 150 times.
Right. And that's okay, right?
Yes.
It's okay to change and
Yep.
tweak. And the other reason is because you should not be the same person today that you were a year ago, 6 months ago, 5
You're
years
gonna
ago,
want more.
10
It's
years
gonna
ago.
change. Yes.
You
Yep.
should be growing and changing and evolving as well.
Yes.
And your perspective grows and changes and evolves. So if you have the same target today,
that you had 20 years ago.
right, something's wrong.
Yeah.
We
Right.
need to look forward and say, here we are today. This is where I want to be at the end of the year. This is where I
Yes.
want to be next year. This is what we're pushing, and this is what
Year
we're going after, so that you can really start pushing yourself. And you do. You need to push.
Yep.
This
Day
is
by
not
day by day.
a leisurely, take your time, come see, come saw, whatever happens, happens. No, you've got to get up with a plan and attack the plan
Yes.
each and every day. Now, you're going to have your down days,
Yes.
your off days.
And what are you going to do each day? What are you going to do to move the needle? Got to move the needle every day.
Yep. And in doing that, you're going to really hone in on what it is that you really want. And are you willing to put in the work on a continuous basis when it gets hard, when you don't want to do it, when it's not fun anymore, when other people are doing other things that
Yep.
maybe you want to be doing? When you're the one that's moving the needle, you have to be okay with saying, nope, I'm not doing that right now. This is where we're at, right? Someone comes
Yep.
to you with a great idea, great offer, great something, say, that's wonderful. And right now I'm focused on this.
Yes.
You got to put your blinders on. Like the other day when we were out doing our walk and it was so cold, I put my hood over. I
yeah.
couldn't
I took
see
a picture.
anything outside of here because it was covered. And I was like, this is great. I could only see what's in front of me, right? I could only see what's
End of
forward.
the block, she had to.
I'm like, did you
turn.
say something? Let me turn my whole body to be able to see because I couldn't see. But that's true. You've got to have the blinders on. You have to be so
Yes.
focused on you and where
Yes.
you're going and what you're doing and how are you getting people to come along with you on this
Yes.
journey, because you have to sell the dream to them too.
Yes, definitely the
As-
one closest to you.
As the leader in your home, in your business, on your team, wherever you are, you have to sell the dream and then
Right.
resell the dream and continue.
daily.
And it's not a rah pep talk. It's like, hey,
No, this is where we're going.
this is where we're going. Like, you got to paint the picture.
Right.
You got to fill in the details. Not everybody can see your vision. And
Nope.
so you've got to be able to see your vision so clearly that you can paint it
Right,
for
and they
everyone
can
else
picture
around
everything.
you and sell them the dream
And get them excited.
and get them excited. But you
Yes.
also have to just continually move everybody forward as well.
Yeah, and also saying something to your team and doing the work is that's what you want to do. Instead of selling the dream and then not doing anything to get you there. And then next time you want to sell that dream, they're not going to believe each dream that you come up with because you didn't take the steps for the last dream.
Mm-hmm. They're going to say, well, it's just another thing, another tangent,
here they go again.
It's like, no, because you are leading by example.
Yes.
You are showing the way. You're putting in the work. People will follow you and be like, well, look, I mean, they believe so much. They're out there doing this. So
Correct.
I'm going to go ahead and step in line and keep going too. And some will and some won't. You've got to be okay with letting people go who don't see your vision, who aren't on the same page, who aren't wanting to move forward in that direction. That's okay, right?
It is.
Some will and some won't. That's okay. You've got to be okay with letting people go who aren't willing to put in the work. And then what we touched on a few minutes ago is, in the beginning, it's like, wow, this is so exciting. I mean, gosh, this is so great.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, well, this is day, 1,000,002 that I'm working on this still.
The same
it's
project.
The motivation leaves, and that's where the discipline comes into play. You're disciplined enough to know this is where I want to go. These are the steps I have to take each and every day to get me there consistently. Consistency is what's going to get you to your targets.
Yes.
Taking consistent action, the right consistent action. So you can be taking action all over the place.
Right.
But if it's not the right actions that you need to be taking to get you closer to where you're wanting to go, you're just spinning your wheels.
And have time. Not that we have to get this done in this month because that's the end target and you have 20,000 things to do. You have to make sure you have enough time to set that target so you can do the right steps without, being on top of somebody bitching and complaining.
And it's
because you don't have enough time.
It's realistic expectations at a certain point. I mean, we want you to set big targets, right? And then when it comes down to
not for the next month.
To the day, it's like, okay, because this is our trajectory for the next year, and these are our quarterly projections of what we want to do, this is what we need to do. Not that we want to get to this target in the next month.
Yes.
And so you've got to give yourself enough time to be able to build what you're looking at. Anything, worth having is worth putting effort and energy into building. And that's part of the process. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. And the journey is what creates the story. The story becomes something you can talk about, something that people can
get
see.
Excited about.
And then it's like, oh, okay. So it's not just about the end destination of getting that target, because you get that win and it's like, okay, what's next, right?
Yes.
Enjoy the
You're going for the
journey.
next.
You've got to be on the journey and appreciating where you're going, because you are going to reach the target. But once you reach the target, you need to have another target, right? It's not like, well, we got it.
Going.
We're good. Now we're done. It's like, nope. What's the next thing? How are we going to continually push this?
And then you want to get encouraged even more. Not just hit the target and that's it. Let's relax. Not have events. Not promote. Not email. Not do anything just because you think you hit your target.
Right.
Or your numbers.
You've got to have the next target, right? Once you hit or you're getting close to hitting that one, you need to have another thing. You've got to, because once your foot is on the gas and you're going, you don't want to let up
on the brakes.
because you don't know where your next target is. So when you're starting to approach that target and you're getting ready to get that win, right? You're ready to put a W on that. You need to have the next thing so you can continue going and not let up. And that's where the momentum comes in, that you do start getting those wins. You start stacking and like getting that validation of, okay, and then people around you like, oh, well, we are doing what we say we're going to do, right?
Yes.
So then the next time you're selling them on the dream, the vision, the goal, where you're going, the plan, it's like, well, I mean, they set this one out and we did that, and they set this one out and we did that. So I damn sure we're going to be doing this one too. So we better all get on board and push.
That's it.
And that's
as a team
where the belief starts setting in. And this is true. It's business, life. It all, you need to have targets in all areas and aspects. You need to have targets in your business. You need to have targets with your family. You need to have targets in your fitness. You need to have targets with your, your mindset. you can look
Yes.
at everything and say, okay, how am I where are my targets, right? Because if you don't have a target in a certain area or aspect, you're going to start seeing
lagging.
that's where the downfall is, right? To be able to fire on all cylinders, to be able to get where you want to go,
Right.
you've got to have targets that you're working on for everything.
Yes.
And that's
Physically, definitely.
yeah, because when you're pushing, I mean, if you're tired or lethargic or don't feel well or not putting good fuel into your body,
Right. Don't
or
drink water.
you're not putting good things into your mind,
3 sodas a day.
you're not coming up with good new ideas because you're not reading anything new or you're not diving into something new. You're not having more information come to you so that you can say,
Not
oh, that's
reading.
right.
Yep.
So this is something we're talking, this is about business, but it's about so much more than that.
So much.
And your business is only as good as you, right? You've got
Yes.
to be able to be at the front. You've got to be the leader. You've got to be the one driving, this
Yes.
machine.
And looking good.
And if your machine
feeling good.
isn't working right, it's hard for you to do that.
Right. Always sick.
Run down, cranky, irritable, negative. That's a recipe
all
for
what you put in your mouth.
disaster. And
Yes.
then
And what you're listening to.
and then your team is going to start being, tired,
Same
cranky,
thing.
lethargic,
Because
negative.
they're around you.
Right. And it feeds, right? So you want to put
Yeah.
good out. You want
Yes.
them to feed off of your light and your radiance and your attitude and your perspective
Yes.
because, like attracts like. And so when you can put that out, you're going to get that back. Versus if you're putting the crap out, you're going to get crap back.
A lot of crap.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I don't
Put
like
on that trash bag.
You don't want to be the toilet, right?
No.
So avoid being the toilet by being the light.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean you have to be, hippy skippy, happy all the time. That's not it. You want to be
No.
real, but there's a vibration that you can vibrate at, and you're going to have your
Yes.
good and bad days. That's okay.
That's
You're human.
okay.
You've
Yes.
got to look at that and people are like, you know what? They're having a bad day. Hey, that's all
Hey.
right. But
Yes.
it's not a bad week, a bad month, a bad year. You're allowed to have a bad moment. But if
Yes.
you
And
stay
then get over that moment.
if you stay in that moment and it turns into a day and it keeps going, that's where the challenge is. That's why you got to check yourself and
That's
be
why
like,
everything's going to go downhill.
yep. So you've got to really be looking and holding yourself to a high standard so that you can hold the people around you to the same high standard and everyone levels up
Yep.
together.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
Anything else on that?
That's it.
So set your targets. Figure out where are you wanting to go? What are you wanting
Yes.
to do? And then you've got to figure out, okay, so now you've got these goals over here, you've got these dreams, these aspirations.
Now you got to set those
You
plans.
got to put the plan together of how you're going to get there. What are you going to
Yes.
do
What actions you're going to take.
on a continual basis when everyone else is not and everyone else is doing something else? You're so
Netflix.
focused on your end result that no matter what
Yes.
comes up, you're still going.
That's right.
So make sure you take a few moments when you're done listening to this or done watching this
Take
and
your
do
notes.
that because again, information it goes in one
Yes.
ear and out the other. Put it into action. We're here
Yes.
showing up for
Have
you
your pad. Take
because
it, write it down.
we want to see change. We want to hear about, what are you doing? What's going on in your business? What's happening with your events? Where
Yes.
are you? And we love getting that feedback, but the one thing we
Yes.
always, put out there is you've got to take action. You cannot just get more information. You've got to take action on the information that you have so that you
Yes.
can get transformation.
There you
And
go.
that's where we want to see. We don't want to see you the same place you are
No.
today, tomorrow,
You must
next week, or
transform
next
yourself
year. We want
and
to
your
see
business.
you grow. We want to hear about your stories.